always see during bull markets that long-term holders are selling, and taking profits. And I do think since we didn't reach prices, higher than 100K last cycle, that a lot of long-term holders are still sitting on their Bitcoin, kind of that they would have liked to maybe take more profit in the last cycle, and so maybe also more tempted to sell a bit of that if prices start reaching those levels.
Welcome to a groundbreaking episode where the future isn't just bright. It's gleaming with the potential of Bitcoin breaking the $100,000 barrier in the upcoming bull run. Today, we're diving deep into the analytics that forecast this monumental surge with none other than The Rational Root from the Bitcoin Strategy platform. With access to unparalleled on-chain data intelligence, we're peeling back the layers of the market to understand what's coming next for Bitcoin. After watching this video, you'll know how you can leverage this knowledge to make informed investment decisions. The Rational Root brings a wealth of expertise and top-grade indicators that offer a unique edge in navigating Bitcoin's cycles. Whether you're aiming to time the market to perfection or seeking insights into Bitcoin's evolving landscape, today's conversation is an absolute must-watch. Get ready to enhance your strategy and unlock the secrets to Bitcoin's next big leap. Let's explore together how $100,000 is just the beginning.
The beautiful thing about the spiral chart is that without any model, it's possible to see Bitcoin's price spinning outwards. So you don't need any model to see where Bitcoin's price is going. So if we keep on following the same pattern, Bitcoin should reach between 100,000 and a million in next cycle, and possibly higher after that, so that is quite bullish. It's also a bit of a narrative. I think in the early days, the effect of the halving was obviously more intense, than it is now. That's why I like it to call it the halving hype cycle, because there's also just a lot of hype around the halving, which also obviously has an effect on price. And so it can still serve as a catalyst through this narrative, right? But yeah, indeed. But if we look a bit at if we zoom out even a little further, if we look at a bit of the macroeconomic picture, we can kind of also see that Bitcoin followed similar patterns to, for example, the S&P 500 or so. So it's not just that the halving. We cannot not say that the halving was the catalyst of each cycle. Bitcoin has been Bitcoin came forth out of the 2008 financial crisis, and so and Satoshi, for some reason, chose this 4-year period as a to have these halvings, and that kind of perfectly aligned also with the bigger macro picture. And so it's and we'll get to a chart as well later to show that. I actually don't think next cycle we will necessarily cross the million mark. That would maybe be for the cycle after that. But it seems like it's kind of impossible to not go above 100,000 if we follow the same pattern in the spiral chart. If you go to the next slide, I drew a line from the center. And you can see that actually amazingly, but this is in Bitcoin time, so it's in block time. The all-time high from the last cycle and the current cycle, and also the bottoms from the last cycle and the current cycle, they are just like blocks apart, which is quite astonishing. But it was hard to predict this pattern because obviously the cycle before that was a little more shifted. So I still think also that using human time, just years and months, is in general better to look at the chart than in block time, because people don't think in block time, right? So it's but it's still astonishing that the all-time highs and the bottoms fell nearly at the exact same moment in the cycle.
Today's video is sponsored by Stampseed. Don't store your Bitcoin in cold storage without stamping your seed phrase on an indestructible titanium plate. Stampseed is fireproof, rust-proof, impact-proof, and easy to hide. It has no loose parts and will give you ultimate peace of mind that your Bitcoin is safe and sound for the long term. Click the link in the description below for 15% off your stamping kit. Welcome to Bit Intelligence. We are committed to bringing you top-notch Bitcoin-only content, twice weekly. Doing this is quite a lot of work. If you are enjoying it and you'd like to support us in making more of these videos, subscribe to our channel and hit that bell icon. If you are willing to go a step further, we've also launched memberships starting as low as $2.99 per month. There are details and a sign-up link in the description below. If you're already a Bitcoiner and you'd prefer to tip your server in sats, you can donate to our Lightning wallet, here. Okay, back to the video.
So this is the
HODL model.
These are the charts that that go along with the HODL model. So here is Bitcoin's supply shown. That's just the circulating supply. So the orange line that you can see, it's 19 million something coins that we have currently in circulation. And here I made the division between a liquid supply and liquid supply. So the orange part of this chart is actually the supply that's available for trade, whereas the illiquid supply, the blue part of the chart, is actually coins that hardly move. And so instead of instead of looking at the age of coins, what we do with illiquid and liquid supply is looking at the spending behavior of coins. So if someone spends less than 25% of their holdings, it's considered illiquid supply. Whereas if someone spends more than 25% of his holdings, he's considered a liquid person or a liquid entity because he might sell Bitcoin at any moment in time, basically. And so this is very interesting because especially the orange part of this chart, so the liquid part, so the supply that's actually available for trade, you could see that if you think of price as a function of supply and demand, the orange part is actually the supply part of the function. And so it's obviously a proxy. It's an approximation. It's not a perfect indicator, but it gives it does a decent job, in my opinion, about what is the actual supply available for trade. So the circulating supply after every halving, the steepness of that curve will basically halve because the issuance halves every halving, and so that flattens out. We're already at 19 million, and we will only go to 21 million in the next 100 years. So, but the illiquid supply seems to be growing. And so where the idea of the HODL model is that the third halving kind of was an inflection point, because as you can see in this chart, the supply issuance outpaced illiquid supply growth until the third halving. But after the third halving, suddenly, illiquid supply is growing faster at a faster rate than new supply is entering Bitcoin in circulation. It's again zoomed in on that orange part, which is the available supply for trade. But here we look at it at percentage terms. So how much percent of the supply is available for trade, and we can see that in the first halving we had around 20% of the supply was available for trade, and we had these huge price increases that came with that. Then we had in the second halving we had 25% of the supply available for trade, and we still had we did 20x or so in 2017, and then the third halving, so that was actually the inflection point, we had the highest amount of available supply for trade, which you can see quite clearly in this chart. And since then we have been going down. If you look at Bitcoin scarcity, that is the case. Obviously it also depends on all events and how much demand there is, and so there's other factors at play. But in terms of Bitcoin scarcity, the highest amount of available supply was available around that third halving. Everyone is expecting diminishing returns, next cycle, just because everyone is focused on this log growth base. Also, all history of Bitcoin has been diminishing returns. If you look at price, you will only think diminishing returns. But if you think of price as a function of supply and demand, now the supply is really getting more scarce. And it seems to be, I made a conservative model, which I shared 8 months ago. I actually made the optimistic model before the conservative model, but I found it too optimistic to share. So I tried to make a more conservative model, which I shared 8 months ago. But now I feel like since we're still trading above it, it's I also have to share the optimistic model. But even the optimistic model is not optimistic enough, apparently. So it's at that fast pace it's going, and the optimistic model is kind of like by 2030, which I also cannot believe. So like I don't know, but the data is the data. I mean, obviously, also demand is a function, but we showed that with the short-term holder supply, which I think is a pretty good function for demand. So you have these peaks coming in. So, but if the supply is kind of scarce around the next halving, and we get one of those spikes again in hype, like in short-term holder, a lot of new young coins coming in, which I do expect at some point. Price could go quite insane. I do think since the increase in market cap, it does become a little more difficult for the price to move. So even if we have a more if you have a scarcer supply, I mean, it could still be harder to have the same amount of increases we did early on, But for me, like, I think 100K next cycle is like the bare minimum, based on the spiral, based on just available supply for trade, it seems very unlikely that we'll not surpass. We always see during bull markets that long-term holders are selling, and taking profits. And I do think since we didn't reach prices, higher than 100K last cycle, that a lot of long-term holders are still sitting on their Bitcoin, kind of that they would have liked to maybe take more profit in the last cycle, and so maybe also more tempted to sell a bit of that if prices start reaching those levels.
As we wrap up today's insightful exploration with the rational root, it's clear that the journey to $100,000 Bitcoin is not just a possibility, it's a path paved with solid data, strategic insights, and a deep understanding of market cycles. The insights from the Bitcoin Strategy platform have illuminated the roadmap from accumulation to distribution, offering a lens through which we can view the future of Bitcoin with confidence and clarity. If today's discussion has sparked your interest, ignited your curiosity, or simply reinforced your belief in Bitcoin's potential, we invite you to dive deeper, explore further, and equip yourself with the knowledge to navigate the forthcoming bull run. For more empowering content and expert insights into the world of Bitcoin and beyond, make sure to subscribe and join our community of forward thinkers. Until next time, keep analyzing, keep strategizing, and stay ahead of the curve in the ever-evolving financial landscape.